Dividing all by 4
becomes
becomes
x
equals to 4. I am here with another past question solution for age 9 entrance examination. Feel free to watch and drop a comment. The first thing to do whenever you're writing an examination is to read through the instructions book carefully and then write your name boldly in the answer booklet after you have thoroughly finished reading the instructions. Follow me for more contents like this on my handle at DaveMaths. My first question here is multiplying the 12 by 3 and expressing my answer in Roman numerals. So I will be multiplying 12 by 3. Three times 2 is 6, while 3 times 1 is 3. After that I will be expressing it as a Roman numeral. "36 can be expressed as 30 plus 6. 30 in Roman numeral is triple x, while 6 is vi. Adding all together becomes xxxvi. And that's as our final answer. Now we move to question 2, which is looking for the prime factors of 24. To begin with, what exactly are prime numbers? Prime numbers are natural number greater than 1 that cannot be exactly divided by any whole number other than itself and 1. We now need to familiarize ourselves with the factors of 24 that are prime numbers in order to identify the prime factors of 24. Since 2 is both a prime number and a factor of 24, we begin with it. 24 is divided by 2 first, and the result is the following solution. We have our answer as 12 and then we divide 12 again by 2. We have our answer as 6 and then we divide 6 again by 2. Lastly, we have 3, which we divide by 3. Recall that 3 is also a prime number. We've reached the final section since we got 1. We can now compile the 24 factors to be 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. Then, the only factors that we have are 2 and 3. The next question is how many seconds are there in 60 minutes? We need to know how many seconds there are in 60 minutes for question 3. Finding the amount of seconds in 60 minutes requires first knowing how many seconds there are in a minute. Thus, a minute consists of 60 seconds. Since 1 minute is made up of 60 seconds, we can represent 60 minutes as an unknown, denoted by the letter x. The value of x is then determined by cross-multiplying the two sides. We are seeking for seconds, therefore after cross-multiplying, we have x seconds. So we multiply 60 by 60. First we start with 0 times 0. Which is 0, then we do 0 times 6, which is also 0. And then we move on 6 times 0, which is 0, and 6 times 6, which is 36. Adding all together, we have 3,600. Finally, we can write that we have 3,600 seconds and 60 minutes. Now we move to question 4. Question 4 says that you should express 0.6 as a fraction. We must represent 0.6 decimal places as a fraction. The place value of 6 in the decimal fraction must first be determined. We can determine the outcome more quickly if we know the decimal place value for 6. Since the 10th place is represented by the first digit following the decimal, we must remember that 6 is a tenth. Now that we are aware that 6 is the 10th place value, we divide the decimal by 10 and multiply it by 10. (0.6 times 10 will give us 6. Since the 0 will have a one-time movement forward. To get our answer in the lowest form, we must divide both the numerator and the denominator by 2. Next, we have a decreased answer of 3 over 5. And that's our final solution. Next, we move to question 5. In regard to question 5, Abu Bakr was given 8 pounds for his birthday. If a pound is worth 450 naira, how much did he get? So we write, Abu Bakr received 8 pounds. £1 is 450 naira. The value of 8 pounds is calculated by multiplying it by 450 naira. First, we start with 8 times 0, which is 0. Then 8 times 5, which is 40, we write down 0 and then put the 4 at the top end of 400. After that, we have 8 times 4, which is 32. "32 plus the 4 remainder, we have 36. We write down the 36. Finally, Abu Bakr received 3,600 naira, which is equivalent to 8 pounds. Now we move to question 6. Finding the odd number between 17 and 34 that is a multiple of 11 is the task for question 6. We need to understand what odd numbers are. An odd number is an integer when divided by 2, either leaves a remainder or the result is a fraction. There's always a remainder when divided by 2. Multiples of 11 are 11, 22, 33, and 44, etc. Next, we determine the odd numbers between 17 to 34. Which are 17, 19, 21, 23, 25, 27, 29, 31, and 33. The only multiple of 11 which is also an odd number between 17 and 34 is 33. And that's the final answer. Next up is question 7. For question 7, we need to compute the sum of the square roots of 625 and the square of 9. Thus, we calculate 625 square root, which equals 25. Additionally, the square of 9, or 9 times 9, equals 81. Then we add up the square root of 625, which is 25, and the square of 9, which is 81. And that's 25 plus 81. One plus 5 is 6 and 8 plus 2 is 10. Our final answer becomes 106. Next up is question 8. In response to question 8, 8 guys can clear a field in 10 hours. If the 4 men labor at the same pace, how long will it take? Eight men equals 10 hours. As a result, if one man works at the same rate as the other 8 men, he will put in 80 hours of work. We're going to multiply 8 by 10 to find the solution. And that is 1 man equals to 8 men times 10 hours of work, which is 80 man-hour. Then to find 4 men. Working at the same rate. One man's working rate, or 80 man-hours, must be divided by 4 men to get the exact same rate for them. We thus examine the various ways in which 80 can be divided by 4. Thus, we can locate 4 out of 80 in 20 ways, and man will cancel out men. Then our answer becomes 20 hours. So it will take 20 hours for 4 men working at the same rate to plow the field. And that's the final answer. Thus, we now go on to question 9. Question 9 states that if a man earns $33,000 per month and spends 1/3 of his salary on bills, how much does he have left? The man's total amount is 33,000 naira. His bills is 1/3 of his salary. So we multiply 1/3 by 33,000 to get the actual amount he spends in naira. 3 and 33 is 11, and that makes the answer to be 11,000 naira. He spent 11,000 naira. Now we're to calculate how much he has left. Then we subtract 11,000 naira from 33,000 naira to get his balance. We have our answer to be 22,000 naira. Meaning the man has a balance of 22,000 naira. We can also solve using another method. We can depict the total of his money as 1, as it is all of his. Then we subtract the value of his spent amount, which is 1/3 from it, making 1 a unit fraction to make the solution easier. We have 1 over 1 minus 1 over 3. Finding the LCM. 1 and 3 is 3. Then we multiply 3 times 1, which is 3. 3 and 3 is 1. Then we multiply 1 times 1, which is 1. Then 3 minus 1 is 2. The fraction of what he has is 2/3. So we multiply what he has by 33,000. Three and 33 is 11, then 2 times 11,000 makes it 22,000. We proceed to question 10. We're to find the highest common factor of 108, 27, and 9. To find the HCF, I will draw a line to separate the numbers. First is 108. The second is 27. While the third is 9. 3 looks perfect to divide all at the same time. 3 and 108 is 36. While 3 and 27 is 9. 3 and 9 is 3. We go with 3 again since it can still divide all. 3 and 36 is 12. 3 and 9 is 3, while 3 and 3 is 1. Hence the HCF is 3 times 3, which is 9. And that's the final answer. Next is question 11. Victor bought a blue pen at 50 naira and sold it for 30 naira. What is the percentage loss? Since Victor sold it, then we say that his selling price is 30 naira. The cost price of the item is 50 naira. The loss can be calculated as the cost price minus the selling price. He made a loss because he was meant to sell higher than 50 naira. So he made a loss of 20 naira. So we need to use the percentage loss formula, which is loss over cost price times 100 over 1. Our loss is 20 naira. While our cost price is 50 naira. Times 100 over 1. Now we're left with 200 over 5. We divide and get the percentage loss. Therefore, the loss percentage is 40%. We now proceed to question 12, where we must calculate 8 meters in centimeters. So first we need to know how many centimeters make 1 meter. And that's 100 centimeters. Eight meters will therefore be represented by x. After that we cross multiply. X times 1 is x. Next, on the opposite side, we have 8 times 100. X becomes 800 centimeters. Next, we go on to question 13, which states, if a sales boy makes 90,000 naira a year, what is his monthly income? I will rewrite the question here. A sales boy earns 90,000 naira a year. What is his monthly income? We need to know that a year is same as 12 months. Meaning that for 12 months the boy earns 90,000 naira. To get the value of 1 month, we have to divide 90,000 by 12. Since there are 12 months in a year, I will use the long division method to solve it. I'll start by figuring out how many times 90 can be divided by 12. And that comes to 84, 7 times. I will have a remainder of 6. I'll then remove my first 0 after that. I'll divide 60 by 12 after that. Following that, I receive a score of 5 with no remainders. Afterwards, I'll drop another 0. I'll divide 12 by 0 once again. As you are aware, any number divided by 0 equals 0, with no remainder. Afterwards, I'll drop the last 0. I will still get 0, with no remainder. And finally, my answer is 7,500, meaning the boy gets 7,500 naira monthly. The 14th question comes up next. It says we should change 22 whole number 2 over 3% to the lowest fraction. Changing 22 whole number 2 over 3% to the lowest fraction require us to know percentages first. Percentages are always divisible by 100. First, we need to convert the mixed fraction to improper fraction. This will enable us to solve it properly. So we multiply 22 by 3 and add it with 2. This results in a mixed fraction of 68 over 3. Then, to distinguish where our division sign represents power, we retain 68 over 3 in a bracket. Divided by 100 over 1. We added the 1 to make it a unit fraction. As the division is converted to a multiplication, 1 becomes the numerator and 100 the denominator. Now that we have 68/300, we must use the number 4 to reduce it to the lowest terms. Oh, I simply made a mistake. Not 68 over 100, but 68 over 300. After dividing 68 over 300 by 4, we arrive at the answer. And 17 over 75 becomes the final answer. That's a fast way to split 300 into 4. With a remainder of 2, 4 in 30 equals 7, and when we add the 2 to the 0, we get 20. Consequently, 4 in 20 is 5. Bringing the total to 75. Next up is question number 15. How many minutes are there in 36 hours? Since there are 60 minutes in an hour, one can express 36 hours as x. Cross-multiplying both sides is what we do. Then we multiply 36 times 60. Zero times 6 is 0. Zero times 3 is also 0. Then we move to 6. 6 times 6 is 36. We keep the remainder 3 at the top left corner. 3 times 6 equals 18, plus the remaining 3, thus the total is 21. Summing all up, we have our final answer to be 2160. This means that there are 2160 minutes in 36 hours. Next up is question 16. If a packet of sugar weighs 1.38 kilograms, what's the weight of 18 packets? The weight of one packet is 1.38 kilogram. Then we represent the weight of 18 packets as x. After cross-multiplying, we have x to be 1.38 times 18. 8 times 8 is 64, therefore you write 4 and keep the 6 at the top of the following number. Eight times 3 is 24, therefore you add the 6 to 24 to make it 30. Write down 0 and keep the 3 at the top of the following number. 8 times 1 is 8, therefore you add the 3 to 8 to make it 11. Write down the whole 11 since there's no more number at the top. Now we move to 1. 1 times 8 is 8. We write down 8. One times 3 is 3. 1 times 1 is 1. Summing up together we have 2484. Since there are two values after the decimals, we put the decimal point in the middle, and the result is 24.84. Therefore 18 packets weighs 24.84 kilograms. Next up is question 17. We are to find the positive difference between 528 and sum of 310 and 67. Positive difference means getting your answer in a positive values. (310 plus 67 gives 377). Next, we calculate the positive difference between 518 and 377. The final answer becomes 151. Our next question is 18. A class consists of 36 girls and 18 boys. Find the ratio of boys to girls. Girls are 36, while boys are 18. The ratio of boys to girls becomes 18 to 36 ratio. 18 appears twice in 36. In the end, we arrive at 1:2. Next, we move to question 19. If Ade spends 5/12 of his pocket money on books, what fraction of it remains? First, we're meant to understand that Ade has a hole which he took part of it out. Since Ade has some remainder, this makes the whole money he has to be one. By placing the entire number in the numerator and 1 in the denominator, a whole number can be expressed as a fraction. One may say that 1 is the entirety and 5 is the portion he spent out of 12. Discovering the remaining. Changing 1 to a unit fraction and finding the LCM. 1 and 12 is 12 and 12 times 1 is 12. 12 and 12 is 1 and 1 times 5 is 5. 12 minus 5 is 7. Our final answer becomes 7 over 12. Next up is question 20. A football ticket costs 2,400 naira. How much does family of 4 pay to watch the match? Since we know the cost of 1 tickets to be 2,400 naira, the cost of 4 family member becomes 2,400 times 4. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 4 is 16. We write 6 and keep the 1 at the top of the other number. 4 times 2 is 8. Then we can add our remaining 1 to it. Then we have 9. The family of 4 pays 9,600 naira. Next is question 21. Subtract 2 1/2 from 4 1/3. To subtract this, we rewrite to make it simpler. For whole number, 1 over 3 minus 2 whole number, 1 over 2. For minus 2 is 2. LCM of 3 and 2 is 6. 3 and 6 is 2, 2 times 1 gives 2. 2 and 6 is 3, 3 times 1 gives 3. Now we can't subtract 3 from 2, then we split 1 from the whole number 2 to assist. After borrowing 1 from the whole number, we change it to a unit fraction of the denominator and we add it to the 2 to subtract 3 from it. Pick only 1 6 as the denominator. Now we add the 2 and the 6 together to give us 8. So we say 8 minus 3, which is 5. Our final answer becomes one whole number, 5 over 6. Next is question 22. Twelve minus x equals 8. Collect like terms. Meaning grouping is families. Twelve remains while 8 joins it by crossing the equal to sign. Don't forget the 8 has an invisible plus sign which changes to minus 8. While x crosses out to become positive x since it crosses over the equal to sign. 12 minus 8 is 4. Then x becomes 4. Next is question 23. Six x minus 3 equals 2x plus 13. Collect like terms. Meaning grouping is families. Six x minus 2x. 2x automatically has a minus because it was having an invisible plus at the front. 13 plus 3 because minus 3 turns to plus 3 after crossing the line. Six x minus 2x is 4x. 13 plus 3 is 16. Divide both sides by the coefficient of x, which is 4. For x is equal to 16. Dividing all by 4, we have x equals to 4. Next is question 24. X plus 3 equals to 5. Find the value of 2x. Initially, we write x equals 5. Then, we shift the plus 3 to the other side, or it becomes minus 3. Then x becomes 2. We replace the value of 2 with x to discover the value of 2x. 2 times 2 is equal to 4, and that's the final answer. Next is question 25. Calculate the area of the shaded portion in the diagram below. Since the shape is rectangle shaped, the area is equal to the length times the width. First we solve for the shaded part, which is 30 centimeters by 12 centimeters. And after we solve for the unshaded part, which is 10 centimeters by 8 centimeters. I could have stated that the rectangle's primary shape measured 30 by 12 centimeters, but I had to use the term shaded part in order for you to grasp the simplest explanation. Now we can say the difference between the rectangle shape is shaded minus unshaded. Then the final answer becomes 280 centimeters square. Next is question 26. "25 minus box equals to 11. What's the box?" We represent the box with X. Collect like terms. Meaning grouping is families. Plus 11 crosses the line and turns to minus 11. Then minus X crosses the line and turns to plus X. "25 minus 11 is 14. Then X is 14. Next is question 27. Calculate the circumference of a circle whose diameter is 42 centimeters. So we start by knowing the formula of a circumference of a circle, which is 2 pi r. The diameter given in the question is 42 centimeters. Radius is always equal to diameter over 2. The diameter of 42 over 2 will then equal our radius, giving us 21. After applying the circumference of a circle formula, we will use it to solve the question. Don't forget that pi is 22 over 7. And then we have 2 times 22 times 3. Two times 22 is 44. And 44 times 3 is 132. The final answer becomes 132 centimeters. Next is question 28. Box minus 18 is 85. We represent the box by x, and then we have x minus 18 equals 85. Collect like terms, meaning grouping as families. Minus 18 moves over the equal to sign and becomes plus 18. 85 plus 18 becomes 103. Next is question 29. How many vertices does a cube have? Vertices are the corner points. Cubes and cuboid have 8 vertices. These are like the top end of the cube. The final answer is 8 vertices. Next is question 30. To find the area of a parallelogram, we must know the formula. Now we know the area of a parallelogram has base times height. Our base was 7 centimeters while our height was 4 centimeters. Multiplication of 7 centimeters and 4 centimeters becomes 28 centimeters square. Next is question 31. Which of the polygons has 7 sides? A heptagon is a seven-sided polygon. It is sometimes referred to as a septagon or a seven-gon. The word heptagon comes from two words, hepta, meaning seven, and gon, meaning sides. Next is question 32. How many lines of symmetry has the shape below? An isosceles triangle has one line of symmetry. Next is question 33. Which of the following shapes is not a plane? A cube is a three-dimensional shape while the rest options are all two-dimensional shapes. Therefore, we say a cube is not a plane. Next is question 34. To calculate an area with a radius of 7, we must know the formula for an area of a circle. The area of a circle is pi r square. Pi is always 22 over 7. Our radius is 7. (22 over 7 times 7 square). Area becomes 22 times 7, which gives 154 centimeters square. Next is question 35. The area of a square is 16 meters square. Find the length of its side. Area of a square is length square. Our area from the question is 16 meters square. To get the length of a side, we equate the formula with the given area in the question. Taking the square root of both sides to isolate the side length. Now the length of its side is 4 cm. Next is question 36. Oops, I made a mistake. The question was given in meters, not centimeters. Next is question 36. The price of the textbook decreases from 2,000 naira to 1,200 naira. The decrease in price is 800 naira. I have solved a similar question like this before. We'd have loss over actual price times 100. The decrease in percentage becomes 80 over 2, which then becomes 40%. And that's our final answer. Next is question 37. The question says we should find the value of 2x in the diagram. You did note that the triangle is an equilateral triangle with equal sides when you looked at it. The sum of all three angles of an equilateral triangle is equal to 180 degrees. 60 degrees plus 60 degrees plus 60 degrees equals 180 degrees. Since a side is 2x, we then equate it to 2x equals 60 degree. Dividing by the coefficient of x, which is 2. X equals to 30 degree. Next is question 38. Find the volume of the diagram below. The volume of a cylinder is pi r square h. Note that pi is always 22 over 7. Our radius was 7 while our height was 10. Then we have our volume as 22 over 7 times 7 squared times 10. The 7 cancels the square on the numerator 7. We're left with 22 times 7 times 10. Seven times 10 is 70. We then multiply 22 times 70. The final answer becomes 1,540 centimeter cube. Cubic centimeter because we're dealing with volume. To find the average of it's possible to solve average as mean at times. To find the average of 10, 4, 6, 3, 7, we need to add all of them and divide by the total number available. In short form, addition of all numbers over total numbers available. Following the addition, we have 30, which we may divide by 5. Our final answer is 6. Next is question 40. We're asked to find the mode of the following numbers. To find mode, we need to count how often each number appears, and the number that appears the most is the mode. Given that number 11 appears the most frequently out of all the numbers, we can choose it. I hope you enjoyed the class. Kindly follow me on YouTube for more content like this, and please don't forget to like and share so that others can see it. Thank you and have a good